Okay, Gluteus Medius part 4, and this is more problems with the glute med clamshell. In the last video we talked just a little bit about some technique issues and things that we can try, and if you have tried all of that and you still can't feel the muscle burning in the back, don't panic, you are in the majority. Okay, I would say that most people who are having pain have a real dysfunction and a real block in finding this muscle. Now, what I want to make sure that I explain is that if you cannot even do this next exercise, you need treatment. Okay, this is no longer a problem of just muscle imbalance and a matter of just doing a few simple exercises. Some people have an actual neurological block. They have an inability to find the muscle. They have a lack of what I call proprioception and kinesthesia. They just cannot produce coordinated movements in the hip. And the reason for that has to do almost always with either pain inhibition or a primitive reflex pattern. They're moving in patterns in the lower leg as opposed to sophisticated coordinated methods of moving. There is a video coming on primitive reflexes that explains it, hopefully a little bit better than that. But the point I want to make is that if you still can't do this version of the glute med clamshell, then you need help. Okay, and it is not something that just a few exercises can do. It's not necessarily that hard a thing to fix, but it's not something that we can fix over the internet. So, if your glute med is really weak, and you can't separate your knee at all without the muscles in the front firing, try this version of the exercise for a couple of weeks, and then come back to lifting your knee. So what we do is we come into the same position, and again, the hand, it's very important you have the right hand position, just below that pointy bone on the tendons of sartorius rectus femoris. Now in that position, can you squeeze your bum? And can you squeeze your bum without squeezing your hamstring and without squeezing the muscles in the front of the hip? And if you cannot, don't panic, just try squeezing a little bit more gently. Because just take an example of squeezing your bicep. If you squeeze your bicep quite gently, there I get a nice isolated bicep. If I squeeze it as hard as I can, my pectoralis goes, my deltoid goes, my traps go, everything in the region goes. So it's called co-contraction, and it's a normal strategy when the forces get high. So if you can't isolate with a strong squeeze of the bum, then try a really gentle squeeze of the bum. And what you want to be able to feel is, I've kind of got my thumb back on my bum and my fingers in the front of the hip, is I can feel my bum firing. All right, I can feel it tensing up. I can feel kind of with my brain that I'm doing it, and I can feel with the skin against my clothing that it's firing, but I can also feel with my thumb that, yep, that muscle is firing nice and easily. Okay? As I do that and I turn it off and on and off and on, my hamstring isn't firing, my quadricep isn't firing, and most importantly, these muscles in the front aren't firing. So, if you can do that, what I want you to do is just to squeeze that muscle and hold it for 10 seconds. Okay? And squeeze it as hard as you can. Now, some people can squeeze it kind of 50% without cheating, but as soon as they get to 55%, the muscles in the front fire. So, only squeeze to 50% and hold it there perfectly for 10 seconds. Again, it's about changing the pattern in the brain. We can't even get to strengthening this muscle yet because the brain isn't very good at using it. We have to improve the brain's ability to contract this muscle first, and then we can get into lifting and strengthening and all that other thing. So over the next 2 weeks, what I want you to think about is, okay, today you just slowly bring it up. There's 50%, 55%, 60%. Oh, now I'm starting to cheat. Shoot. So I'm going to back off a little bit. I'm going to just go to that 55%. There, that's about as hard as I can squeeze that without cheating, and I'm going to just hold there. And really concentrate. All of these exercises require a lot of concentration. Concentrate on what it feels like to squeeze that muscle. Because feeling for contraction is your brain thinking about that region, and the part of your brain that's responsible for the hip is going to grow in its ability to detect movement. And that is the most important part of what we're doing with these exercises, really. So as you get better at it, now it's been a week, I'm squeezing harder now. Finally I get to the point where I can really squeeze that muscle now, and it's easy to do. I can really get it to contract when I want it to. I don't cheat in the hamstring, quadriceps, or these anterior hip muscles. Okay, and I can do that, and it's a piece of cake. Now I'm going to go back to trying my lift. Okay? Now you're not going to get to there. You might not even be able to lift the knee. What you might want to do is, okay, can I unweight the top knee from the bottom? Okay? And if I can do that, just that little unweighting, no, there's that burn that he's talking about. I finally feel it. And it can take at least 2 weeks, sometimes more. Now, with treatment, we can do things to speed that up, okay? But for some people, it is just a matter of it's gotten that weak and you just need to learn to fire it first, and then you can lift it up, okay?